IndiGlobal Media Network.
And the moderator for this panel discussion, Shri Ashish Naredi, Chairman, IndiG International School.
A very good afternoon to you all. And like it was introduced, the topic for us is the implementation of NEP, or never-ending process, somebody said in the morning, or the new education policy. What is new, what is not new, all that we'll see. Ms. Kameshwari, she will be speaking on, we'll try and understand from her how NEP is being implemented on ground. There are a lot of policies and a lot of directions that the government is giving, but what is the effect on ground? Let's try and understand from her.
So very good afternoon to everyone. And as from the past, I think from past 4.5 years, every day NEP is buzzing. And we are thinking what we are doing, what else to be done. But I have seen the previous panelists, they're pretty clear that what we are doing. I think after this, I don't have much to speak on. So first of all, NEP talks about quality education. So quality education in each school, we think we are doing good, right? So some innovations, some professional development programs, training programs, we do and we conduct. And somebody said 50 hours programs we have conducted, and somebody is saying that we'll be conducting more than that. So that is to develop our teachers' teaching learning process. If you see, and if you say parental point of view, parents are much talking about only age criteria. Are you following NEP? What is the age criteria? So what I finally feel that we have been following many aspects of NEP. If you say we have started with NCF 2005, then we have checked with the National Curriculum Framework. After that, we have also done teachers training courses. And if you see, we have been doing we are following many aspects. In that, the major aspect is supportive ecosystem. NEP is talking about supportive ecosystem. So we are providing a good ecosystem in the schools. Where it is not happening is the question. Then, the collaborative, my previous panelists, they were talking about collaborative learning. Somebody said how the collaborative learning will help students as well, the teacher to learn more. The next point is creativity. Anything we do in a different way, I think that is creativity. And we are also talking about congenial environment in the school, all-round development of the student, holistic development of the student. My co-panelists will talk about language system. So already we are following 3 language system, isn't it? Are we not following? We are following 3 language system. And mostly in this era already much has been spoken about AI, digitalization, digital classroom, usage of technology in the classroom. The next is cross-curricular teaching and cross-curricular learning, where we are giving project-based learning. So in those projects, we are giving these students various projects which is interrelated and correlated. And the next point is pedagogy. So if you see, we are using various pedagogies. It may be inquiry, or I feel more than inquiry, we are also following metacognition. So all these comes under the policy makers of NEP, they thought in this way. The next point is the importance of teachers. NEP says that teacher is the most important part, heart and soul of the classroom. I think all of us, we agree that we have to treat teachers. So I know the people, those who are here, and the school leaders and the owners, here we do not have any problem. But there are much to be done in larger scale. Next is research. So how much research each one of us are doing, and how much we are encouraging the next generation to go for research. So these are my takeaways. So I have seen that most of these, like digitalization, professional development, good ecosystem in the schools, in elite schools of Hyderabad or elite schools of India, it's happening. But my question is for the schools which are in rural part of the country, where the resources are less, infrastructure is not up to the mark, what is the call? This is what is my take.
Thank you very much for your informative introductory remarks. There's a question or a criticism of NEP which is often leveled at its doorstep, and it is that what is new in the new NEP? So when asked to investigate, I actually went through the policies from 68, 86, 92, coming to 2026, and I literally had to read it again and again to try and decipher what is new. So, one of the things has been 6% spend on education. We need to make it completely literate, holistic education, all-round development. Of course, new terminologies have been added now in terms of inquiry-based learning, project-based learning. So a query that I had is anything concrete on the ground changing? Or are we just changing the buzzwords which we use to address education?
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to quote George Bernard Shaw: "Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything." And second is Deepak Chopra, who says, "All great changes are preceded by chaos." So the moment NEP was declared, there was chaos everywhere, because people read it and followed it as per their understanding. They said regional language, and everybody started jumping, especially the schools which are English medium schools. They did not want to go for regional languages because they said it is not going to be useful. Nobody read it carefully. It said that we have to teach them Indian languages. Take example of technologically developed countries like China, South Korea. They don't speak in English. If you see them in conferences, they speak in their own language. And we Indians, we are born with slave mentality, and we want to follow English to the core. So first and the foremost thing what we do is we oppose. And then we see that nobody is going to listen, we follow it. Then we follow herd mentality. The important thing is, why are we talking about regional language? Do we ever think about what happens in rural areas where teachers are less? The child is learning in his mother tongue. We say English. English is available in urban areas. But you go to rural areas, do we have good English teachers who can teach children? Are children capable of speaking in English? You can see them when they come for admission in cities. Those poor children can't even express. And we teachers here in city, we want them to speak in English. What is NEP saying? We have to promote our languages. We have forgotten Sanskrit. We teach Sanskrit only for children to get good marks in 10th standard. That is the only thing where we strive. That is why we want Sanskrit. But we forget that our entire base is on Sanskrit. Tamil is one of the oldest language. We have forgotten our culture. NEP is just telling us, go back to your roots. It's not saying leave your roots. It is telling you to progress, but progress with your culture. What have we done is we have ruined our generation. We have ruined them by giving them mobiles in their hand, free internet. They are following the Western culture blindly. And we as teachers are helpless. The previous panel was talking about ChatGPT. When we were in school, now if I say when I was in school, there was no computer. When I started teaching, there was no computer. Computer came in 1994. Initially, it was only for fees collection in some schools. So we are the generation who had not touched computer. But today we are working. But what have we done? We have moved ourselves, shifted ourselves to technology without understanding what damage it is making on the young minds. Today, mother, if she has to feed the child, she gives the mobile. नहीं तो वो खाना नहीं खाता है. That is the sentence what the mother uses. Go back to your childhood. When you were not eating, what did the mother do? There was no mobile. There was one slap. And अपने आप automatically we used to open our mouth. So here when I'm talking about language, NEP is saying that we have to teach them native languages. They are giving you choice. Just for opposition, don't stand up. Read the NEP carefully. It is very beautifully drafted and it is going to help us. It is not telling you to force them into that languages, but teach them. Today, if I come to Madras, or I go, Chennai, now Chennai. There I remember a few years back when I went, the people never spoke in Hindi or English. It was difficult. It was difficult for a person outside South to travel in Chennai. Today we had a discussion just because money is there, people have started speaking Hindi and English. But if my child knows the regional language, will the child suffer? I don't think the child will suffer. So it is very important. First, teach them your culture. Westernization, they will learn when they grow up. You need not teach them. The entire culture of India is ruined because we are following the West blindly. If you see the today's generation wearing jeans, those torn jeans, they pay more money to buy those type of clothes because they have seen somebody wearing in the West. But whereas I remember what our parents said, if you have your clothes torn from somewhere, don't wear because it speaks bad about your family. Where we are going and where is the direction? So most important part, what NEP is speaking about native language is culture. It is telling you to enhance Indian culture. Look at the technologically developed countries. They are not speaking English. I'm not against English. I'm from English medium school. I teach children English. But when the time comes, I want my Indian culture to shine. The second topic what I would like to touch is the dropouts in school. I'm very sorry, the government says push them till 8th standard. We go on pushing them till 8th. And what happens when they reach in 9th? They can't even read, they can't even write. 2015, 6.2 crores dropouts were there in the age group of 3 to 18. 6.2 crores. Can you imagine what a big number? And what is their future? Nothing. Because these dropouts are mainly from the middle class and lower middle class and poor families. They are not guided. So where do they go? They don't have any future. So why can't our system be developed so that these children are not out of school? Why they are not given subject of their choice? Why math and science is made compulsory? Maybe the child doesn't have the ability. Give them what they can learn. Give them choice in 8th, 9th standard. If they can't do math and science, let them do giveaway. Because personally I feel if you don't become engineer or doctor, the world will not end. Today there are a lot of opportunities for children. So let not these children go out of school. Give them something which will make their future. And that is what NEP has tried to do again, how to get this dropout back. There are open schools. We as school heads and administrators have to guide children if they are unable to do something, how to guide them to complete their education. Our aim as educators should be to get these children into the fold and see that minimum basic education is given to them. Thank you.
Well, promotion of native Indian languages is a very sensitive topic and a topic very close to my heart. In fact, in the last IndiGlobal Summit, I spoke exactly on this topic, became a bit controversial as well. We'll leave it at that for now. But continuing on the line of discussion that we're doing right now, as NEP says, we've got to promote children all the way up till 8th grade. In government schools, this is being followed. But in private schools, especially in the cities of Hyderabad and other metropolitan cities, is it being followed? And what's the position like in your schools, and what's the policy you adopt in your schools?
We usually follow this up to grade 5, but our assessment pattern is different. Maybe others are also following. So we do give subject enrichment activities, and there is a project, two types of projects the child has to do. One is based on cross-curricular project, interrelated subjects, and the other is inquiry projects. And we do give 5 to 10 marks for classworks and homeworks and the assignments done. And at time, if the child performs well and if he is not well, so we consider some stage performance, and if he does any club activities. Up to grade 5 we follow this. For other classes as well, it is 50%, 60% is pen paper test, and the rest of the 40% we go by like same subject enrichment, project based, assignment based. So child may score, because as we said, NEP is also talking about different types of assessment, and people still, they don't understand that, whether even parents, they come and they say only oral test you have conducted. So what I feel is, if the child is good at oral and if he cannot write in grades 1 and 2, we can give marks to the child. And even somebody was talking about psychologists and special educators, they are also giving emphasis on this. So we do that. For other classes, pen paper test, we give some few marks for objective and few marks for subjective, so that the child can score, means the child can at least score 40% marks. But as I have seen, the writing speed and handwriting of the children is not up to the mark, so we do insist them to give a pen paper test, and we give some moderation, and then we ask them to do it again. This is what we do in the school.
And before I head to Sandhya ma'am for her side of the story, what's your advice to the parents in such a situation where, let's say, a student in grade 5 is there, and for whatever reasons we are not able to promote him to grade 6? What is the best course of action, one from the child's point of view and from the parent's point of view?
Sir, usually what I do is I ask the children, usually we don't have such children, but at times in 1 or 2 subjects or some places we have seen inclusion, which is also a part of NEP, and we have been doing it from 2017. So I just give them another chance to improve, and at times I have seen children are really, they are improving and they are coming out with some solution, and we give some time also. Just in this time framework, you just complete your task and you can give another pen paper test. So this works.
Thank you. Sandhya ma'am.
So when it comes to children who can't perform, initially, if all of us go back 15 years back, there were no special educators. There were no assessment. Poor children used to suffer. But now with the changing system, if we find a child is not able to do, we have a special educator, so we put the period accordingly. The child goes and sits with the special educator, and her job is to see that the child learns to read and write. And once the child crosses 6th and 7th, we get him assessed to understand where the child stands. Because if a child is with specific need, you cannot force the child to study those subjects. So from 7th, 8th onwards, we try to ease out his pressure so that comfortably he can do his 10th. So I can proudly say last year I had 3 students who were with specific needs, and they passed. We removed their math, science and social science. Instead we gave them painting, element of business and home science. And they passed with around 75 and 80%. And that was a feather in our cap that experiment was successful. So this year again I have 4 students. They are assessed by the government organization only. Without their certificate we don't do it. And they are appearing. There are 4 of them who are appearing this year. So initially I was also hesitant how to do it, because you know that block if they don't pass. But then we took it up on us that we will work hard, and the teachers really did wonders. Literally, they used to sit with them and we used to make them mug up, learn the answers by heart and give us. So it helped. It helped. And it is really great to see that one of them got 75%, whom we did not even think will pass. But he got 75%. It works, sir. If you give them a chance, it works. When you speak about language, for my school, up to class 5, we have only 2 languages, English and Hindi, because state government has not forced us into regional language for primary. 6 to 8, we do have 3 languages, where we have English, Hindi, and we have given them, they have to select between French and Sanskrit. 9th and 10th, again 2 languages, and here I would like to tell all CBSE school, CBSE is not telling you all to take 3rd language compulsorily. It can be the 7th subject, which is additional subject. So that scare that everybody had, they have to do 3 languages. No, they don't have to do 3 languages. They have to do only 2, and the 3rd language is the 7th additional subject. So it is up to you to do it or not to do it. So please don't be scared.
So, like I said, languages is a subject close to my heart, and ma'am again mentioned about Sanskrit, how we take Sanskrit as an option only because it's a scoring subject. We like to I personally like to look at it differently, and one of the innovations that we've done at our school, I don't know if any other school has done that or if there are other schools doing it, but Sanskrit is a compulsory subject and language right from LKG. And the innovation, another being that there is no assessment for it. It's only playway teaching, only oral teaching, and of course then the grammar will come on. And it's a success story for our school. You should listen to the students, you should listen to the parents talk about it. And just for the sake of it, if I can relate that in a parent open house, we just broached the subject. Should we continue Sanskrit or not? And everybody got up. Oh no, you cannot do away with Sanskrit. Sanskrit has to be there. So that's how it's received. I thought since you brought up the topic of native languages and Sanskrit, I just thought I'll relate that. NEP, of course, is a vast subject and a much discussed subject. In the interest of time, we'll not stretch it longer. I will ask just one question of you both before I give a few closing statements from my side and end it. There's a lot of talk about how the 2 exams for the 10th class is going to fare out, how it's going to pan out. So any views and comments from your side on that?
It will fare well because children will get
Any challenges that you see? Because one exam is slated to be in November, December, then the next in March. So how do you think it's panning
What I
out?
feel is we have to plan for it. So your first term curriculum should be completed by September, October, and then you prepare the children, or you give a pause and start the second term syllabus, and then give a pause for sometimes 15-20 days, revise and let the child write the exam.
One more question I had before you come in. For a student who's written the exam in November and December, what does he or she do till March, April for the school duration?
Crash course, or we have to think about something different. So, but it's good, I feel, because every time we should not think only March is the time framework where the child has to write the exam. It depends on.
Your views, ma'am?
Sir, it is January and April. January and April, they are saying 2 exams, but still nothing has come out. No circulars, they are still discussing. But if that is the case, if I as a principal have to take decision, everybody appears at one time. I will not give them a chance ki you appear now and others appear next, because we will not waste each other's time. All of us will appear at one time, whether it is January or April.
Yeah, I think Anjali ma'am wants to make some comment. Can we have the mic passed on?
To the best of my knowledge, there are no 2 exams.
No exams.
CBSE has scrapped that.
Yes. Yes.
Going back to 1 exam. 2 months to
Yes.
Yeah, now that's another thing about NEP. A lot of statements are made, and a lot of statements are reversed, a lot of them are contradicted. So good, Sandhya ma'am brought out that point that there is no official circular, and now Anjali ma'am says that, you know, it's been scrapped, but there's no official circular for that as well.
That also.
So media continues to talk about two exams and two different dates,
No,
but without the official circular, it's very
Sorry.
difficult to implement it this year.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's an official circular about no 2 exams. This is just
Is it?
one exam
Okay.
now. It's come in the papers as well. Yeah.
Oh, my bad then. Perhaps that circular missed my eyes. Never mind.
No, there's no circular. There's an official announcement in the newspapers.
Newspaper, no circular here.
No circular.
No circular.
Circular didn't come
So
either.
then the,
Even the first time the
dilemma
circular
still
didn't come.
continues.
The first circular didn't come earlier, the circular didn't come now. There was those rumors about 2 exams.
No, but the two exam thing is
There's no circular for that either.
fine. Circular is not there, but the two exam thing is definitely captured not only in the draft education policy, but also in the final education policy. That is 100% there. In fact, the final education policy goes to the extent of saying that there will be a semester system from 9th till 12th, and that perhaps indicated that there might not be a 10th board exam at all. That is what was there in the 500 pages of the draft policy. But when that 500 pages was concised to about 80 odd pages of the final policy, the 10th exam was brought back in. Semester system still continues, but the problem with NEP is that lack of clarity.
Ambiguous.
Policy says something, media says something else, and there is lack of circulars coming in from CBSE. Which is why I asked, is there a circular saying that two exams has
There
been
was no
dropped?
circular earlier, there's no circular now, but there are no 2 exams. It's very clear about it. This is one.
Fair. We can have an open mind about it. Good, bad, we don't know. But till we get a circular, it's difficult to believe anything because the policy is passed.
Thank God there are no 2 exams. You can wonder what's going to happen if there
We
were.
can perhaps take the feedback of educators and give it back to the government that this is what the educators have to say about the two exam policy.
Their view was to save the students here. So that's what they can do. As it is, the board exams get over by 15th of March. Declare the result early, conduct the compartment in May, will save their year.
So it's, you know, like they say in economics, it's political economy or political economics. So education also sometimes becomes political education. So the education minister been on record saying that we'll have 2 exams. Will be a little difficult for him to retract. But yeah, if the educators across the nation are advocating for it, then the government better heed to it. Anyway.
Sir, here I would like to add that the state governments are also deciding their own policy. Like in Goa, they have already started with semester. State government has already started with semester system.
In which grades?
9th to 12th.
10th. They've already started.
They have already
Okay.
started. They have
This is the
implemented.
good part about such discussions. We get to know viewpoints from different areas and different schools.
Karnataka is not going to follow NEP. They straight away they said they are not
In
going
fact,
to follow.
Mr. G.V. Rao, he was there from the Commissioner of School Education's office, and I was glad to have him as a part of the panel, but then he got an urgent call and had to move away. And he was telling the same thing that, you know, because of political reasons, Telangana is not adopting the national education policy. Now, what aspects of it they will adapt or adopt and what they will ignore, that's in the hands of the political executive. Let's not get there. But to summarize this lively discussion, thank you very much for your comments. Just my closing version of it. Not getting in again into the specifics of the exact policy because I have a few problems with the very basic premise of the base of the foundations of the policy itself. To give an example, let's assume this dais is there. We are talking about what flex to put, what flowers to arrange. After getting to know that the foundations of the dais are weak, that it could fall down anytime. This is strong, don't worry. It's taking all our weight. But that's how it is. You're building up, you're making a fantastic, beautiful building and discussing how the elevation will be, what the interiors will be, but the foundations of the building are weak. It's going to fall down anytime. What do you do about the foundations? What do I mean by the foundations of the education system or this building of education being weak? Let me illustrate by an example. A well-known mathematician, Professor C.K. Raju, he wrote to NCERT. You claim that Pythagoras discovered or invented the Pythagoras theorem. What is the evidence? You know what NCERT replied? No evidence. He replied back, when you don't have any evidence, why are you teaching in your books that Pythagoras invented the Pythagoras theorem? Pythagoras theorem everybody knows, right? Finding out the hypotenuse of the right angle triangle. So NCERT sent back another reference. See this Oxford book says this. He again wrote back. He said, so what if Oxford says, what is the evidence that Oxford has? To which NCERT never replied back. Now my question is this. Textbooks are giving out authoritative statements like this for an example without any reference at all. If we are to make any claim here as educators or even a lay person that such and such a thing has happened. Let's say I can fly. Will you believe me? You will ask for evidence. You will say, fly and show. If I fly, you will believe. If I don't, you will not believe. So is it not the job of our textbook writers to give evidence for all the claims that they're making in the textbooks? You look at any other academic research paper, any research, you have got to give references, you've got to give evidence in favor of your assertion. Textbooks you do not. Why? Because possibly education is treated not as a means of education, but as a means of indoctrination, which is available in the hands of the political executive to twist it the way they want. So while we were having lunch, somebody was recalling Urdu couplet that I used in my last talk on national education policy, and they were asking if I will say some shairi or some poem today as well. By the way, that's also one of my hobbies. I do write some poetry. I said, no, I'll keep it very formal. But since the context veered around to this, I thought I will recite something else. So this is something that I had written. Let me recite it here in this context. रण भूमि में आखिर गोली क्यों चलाना? रण भूमि में आखिर गोली क्यों चलाना? जब मन भूमि में बोली चलाकर वही काम किया जा सकता है. Why fire a bullet in the battlefield when you can talk and get your work done? क्यों किसी देश को अपना गुलाम बनाना? क्यों किसी देश को अपना गुलाम बनाना जब उसके मन को अपना गुलाम बना के वही काम किया जा सकता है? Why colonize some country when you can colonize their minds and still make it your colony? So, unfortunately, education is being used as such a tool. The critical thinking ability of the people, of the students, is being dumbed down, being taken away. And we, by following the curriculum, by following the syllabus, are perhaps aiding in this effort. Let me end by giving one simple example which I used in our school when I was doing a session for our teachers. It's again related to what Professor Raju was telling. We all know what pi is, right? 3.14. To calculate the area of a circle, radius of a circle and all. Who discovered the value of pi? Greeks. Somebody in Greece is what we are all taught. And we thought Greek mathematicians, Archimedes, Pythagoras and all that. I ask a simple question. 3.14 is the value of pi. How do you write 3.14 in Greek numbers? This is a homework I gave to the teachers of our school. 1 week's time. They came back and said, sorry sir, we cannot write 3.14 in Greek numbers. I said, can you write 22/7? They said, no, we cannot write that as well. For your information, the way the Greeks write their numbers, alpha, beta, theta, gamma, all that we listen to, these are Greek alphabets. So A, B, C, D, that's their A, B, C, D. Their numbers also are represented by the same alphabet. Alpha, beta is number, alpha, beta is also letters. And you've heard of this word myriad, M-Y-R-I-A-D. There are myriad ways of looking at NEP, myriad ways of talking about people. You know, myriad is akin to infinity. But you know what myriad stands for in Greek language? The number 10,000. So, the meaning being that 10,000 seemed like infinity to the Greeks. Beyond that, they do not have a number in Greek numbers. Later on, it's all later addition. So, when a civilization which could not count beyond 10,000 is credited with having discovered the distance between the earth and the sun, between the sun and the moon, would you not raise your critical thinking ability and ask that how could he have done it when he doesn't even know how to count beyond 10,000? Basic evidence. The question being, do you accept authority? Whoever it may be, might be Oxford or whoever it is, whoever else it may be, or evidence. What I just presented before you is evidence. You can Google for it and check. But sadly, we are not doing that in our education, and which is why I say that the foundations of our education system are weak, and the foundations need to be addressed. There's a lot more I can talk about this subject, but perhaps for some other occasion, perhaps for some other panel. Thank you very much for being a wonderful audience for our discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you, panelists, for such a wonderful panel discussion. I would like to call upon Sudhir Gautam, founder, CEO, and editor-in-chief, IndiGlobal Media Network, to please come and give away the token of appreciation. I would like to call upon Ms. Kameshwari, Principal, Unicent International School, to please come forward to receive the memento. I would also like to call upon Ms. Sandhya Venkatesh, Principal, Mount Litera, Z School, Goa. And for so interestingly moderating the session, I would like to call upon Sri Ashish Naredi, Chairman, IndiGlobal International School. Request you all for a group picture.
IndiGlobal Media Network, taking innovation, collaboration and growth to the forefront.